Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome in to the Bozard Ford Studio. We are here on the St. Johns County show that's on in the morning, and it's a rainy Monday, so everyone be safe out there as you're listening to us and watching us getting around and preparing to go into work. But we have an amazing interview today. We have David Birchmin, St. Augustine City Manager, in studio with us. We're going to talk a lot of different things, some bridge closing, some night of light stuff, a lot of big stuff happening at the city. And David is going to let us know what's happening and how we can be better members of the city. But I just want to say thank you first off to our amazing sponsor, Bozard Ford. Since 1949, Bozard Ford has been more than just a dealership. It's a local legacy built on trust, family values, and a commitment to doing things the right way. Proudly serving St. Augustine and beyond for over 75 years, Bozard offers award-winning service, unbeatable selection, state-of-the-art facilities, and 91 climate control service bays, a quick lane for no appointment needed maintenance, and even Ford's Garage restaurant on site. Recognized with the Triple Crown Award and President's Award, Bozard Ford Lincoln is where hometown service meets national excellence. Great pricing, friendly faces, and a better buying experience. Located just off I-95 and State Road 16, Bozard Ford Lincoln. They are driven to inspire. We also have to give a big shout out to our other sponsors: Vitus Roofing, Old Town Trolley, Bin 39 Wine Bar, B&S Signs, Chiba Hut Toasted Subs, Chris Lucero Bell Bonds, St. Augustine Handy House, and Sonny's Barbecue. Please get out there and support all our wonderful sponsors and support us with your likes, comments, and shares. Follow us on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube or on Rumble, and download our app from the Apple Store. All right. Good morning. Blake, how you doing, man? Big weekend for you.
Well, it really was a big weekend, everyone. Hi, everyone. How's it going?
Yep. So we had the 904 at the 24. Mm-hmm. And you survived. You were there for 3.5 days.
Yeah, I did.
They had it was actually only about an 18-hour, because didn't they just ride around?
Yeah, for
6 hours in the fog.
For 6 hours, they ran through. I think it was like 6 hours and like 33 minutes. It was under full course yellow. But they were still riding around. I didn't understand how that worked. Right? They were still riding around. So they didn't red flag the race. So they at least still got the laps, and they still made pit stops during the time. So
did you go? Were you home asleep at that time?
I was at my Airbnb. I was at my Airbnb.
Okay, all right. So you were just watching them drive real slow in the fog.
I like the media center is nice. It's warm, but I rather actually sleep on a proper bed than sleep on like a chair.
All right, and we do have Mr. David Birchmin, our city manager. David, welcome in.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you coming in, waking up early, and coming in and meeting with us. But this is the time where we have the question of the day. I know you've been studying all week for this. So our question of the day, and Blake, you just went to a sporting event. You went to a nice men's game last night, sporting event. And our question of the day is, what's the best sporting event you've ever been to live? Best sporting event you've ever been to live?
Well, I'm just going to have to say the Iceman game last night was right in the top of my head because it was such a great game.
It went into overtime and shootout.
That's
awesome.
The Icemen tied it up 2-2 with 10 seconds left in the game. It went to overtime. No one scored during overtime, so it went to a shootout, and the Icemen were the only ones that scored during the shootout, and they won. It was a great game.
Awesome. Blake, what about you? Best sporting event you've ever been to live?
Best one, it's hard. There was a lot of great Orlando Magic games. I've been to 2 hockey games, two National Hockey League games. Best game, it was very stressful at the end, but I probably have to say the Steelers Dublin game this year.
Oh, the game in Dublin.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. That was a great trip for you.
It really was.
I'm kind of torn because I think the best sporting event had very little to do with sports, but it was about being in the stadium. and Mike Davis and I went to the first Jaguars game after 9/11.
Oh, wow.
And when they did the flyover, I mean, I still get emotional about it. I mean, I know he does too. But it was like such a powerful moment. It had little to do with sports. It had to do with being there and being, an American and all that. So I think I have to do that one because I don't know of a sporting event that emotionally changed or affected me as much. But I mean, the finals, the NBA finals with the Magic, when we had tickets there, that was a great game. I really enjoyed my first NHL live game was in Las Vegas a couple years ago. I'd never been to like a live NHL game until 3 years ago, Blake.
Yeah.
I mean, and we went to an NHL game. So, we're very fortunate. We get to go to a lot of sporting events, and we live in a good time. So, All right. It is now time for a quick check of the weather. It's raining right now. It's going to clear up, and then it's going to get cold. So, all right. And that weather is brought to us by Bin 39. Discover one of St. Augustine's best-kept secrets, Bin 39, tucked inside the St. George Inn at the north end of St. George Street. With over 95 boutique wines, 50 of them rated 90 points or higher by Robert Parker. It's the perfect spot for a romantic date night or relaxing after-work unwind. Sip by the glass or a bottle in a serene courtyard setting and enjoy live music throughout the week. Open daily, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Just stop by and say, I'll have what Irving's having. Bin 39, your taste to discover. All right, it is now time for the Blake's traffic report. I want to see what these cameras look like today. Not too bad.
Only one cover with condensation, so that's all right. But other than that, everything's looking fine out there. Little damp on the roads, a little damp out there. But once again, still be safe out there on the roads today. Don't be acting like the 60 cars that were at the Speedway Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, don't be doing that.
Yeah, because the sheriff has said that he's got lots of enforcement out there on I-95. And that traffic report is brought to you by Old Town Trolley. Climb aboard Old Town Trolley and experience over 500 years of history in the heart of St. Augustine. This fully narrated 9-minute tour features 22 convenient stops and covers more than 100 points of interest, including landmarks like the Castillo de San Marco, the Fountain of Youth, and Flagos Historic Hotel. With open-air views and the holiday hop-on, hop-off access is the most fun and flexible way to explore the nation's oldest city. Your ticket also includes free admissions to the St. Augustine History Museum and local St. Johns County residents ride free with a full fare guest to the Hometown Pass program. Sign up today at hometownpass.com. Old Town Trolley, the best way to see St. Augustine, one stop at a time.
All right, we do have one story we want to get to before we get into our interview. And this is a kind of scary situation. 13 people injured in St. Johns County deck collapse, fire rescue says. More than a dozen were injured Sunday afternoon after a 2-story deck collapsed at a beachfront home in St. Johns County. The St. Johns County Fire Rescue says crews were dispatched at 12:30 p.m. to a private residence in the 2400 block of South Ponte Vedra Boulevard along A1A after reports that a large deck had suddenly given way. Because of a number of people were hurt, Fire Rescue activated Level 1 Mass Casualty Incident Response, bringing additional emergency resources to the scene. Officials say 13 people were injured in the collapse, most sustaining minor injuries, but 2 victims were transported to a trauma center, while 6 others were taken to a local hospital for treatment. All injured individuals are expected to recover. Firefighters secured the scene and assisted victims before transporting patients to the area hospital. The cause of the collapse remains under investigation. A fire rescue spokesperson noted that coastal conditions, including salt air and moisture, can accelerate the deck wear and structural deterioration. Officials also said weight load may have been a contributor. Yeah, those 13 people. The property is marked as a short-term rental, raising additional questions about occupancy and deck use at the time of the incident. Fire rescue is using the incident as a reminder to homeowners and property managers. Officials are urging residents, especially those with elevated and beachfront decks, to have structures inspected at least once a year to ensure safety. No fatalities were reported, and like they said, everyone is going to recover. There's the picture of it right there. Yeah, no, you can't put 13 people on a deck. So
that's too many.
That's too many. That's too many. I mean, we have the little tiny elevators in the Treasury building, and one day I got a call. People were stuck in the elevator. And I was like, oh, okay, sorry about this. And then I was talking through the elevator, and they had 9 people. Okay, the max in our elevator is 4, and they had 9 people in there, and they were holding bottles of wine. They were coming from one of the hosts upstairs, and I was like, what were you guys thinking? They're like, we just didn't want to wait.
And I feel like there's a sign in the elevator too.
There is. It says
weight limit.
Maximum of 4 and a weight limit. I was like, my elevator didn't have a chance. So, all right. Well, we have City Manager David Birchmin. Appreciate you coming in. There's a lot of things going on in the city. There's always a lot of things going on in the city. You've been city manager going on almost 3 years now.
Yep.
I want to talk about the big transition of you were assistant city manager. You were in the planning department. How long have you been with the city now? Because I've known you. Seems like for a long, long time. So how long have you been with the city?
28 years.
28 years. So and you started in the planning department, correct?
I started as an entry-level planner back in 1997. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember I went through leadership with Mark, who was planning director, I think, before you were planning director. And I remember you were there at that point. And that would have been in 2002 or 2003. But you've worked your way through the entire system of the city. So you got to see over those 25 years previously being manager. How do you think that helps being already a part of the system to take on a leadership role that you took on?
The advantage is I was more well-rounded with different departments. Planning and building really gives you a distinct advantage because you have the insight of all the new businesses that are opening, all the real estate that's getting developed, all the developments that want to come in. So you have your really finger on the pulse of that industry, and that creates a lot of the friction and that the city government has to work its way through. We have new businesses that open just all the time. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants to come to St. Augustine. Everyone wants to develop St. Augustine. So that was really a big advantage that I had.
One of the things, you were assistant director, and I know when I made this transition, there was things that really hit me like, oh man, I wish I'd. What was one of the things that really kind of hit you when you became the city manager? Like, man, I didn't know this was involved in it. So what was kind of some of the shocking things that hit you?
Just the level of responsibility. You just really can't prepare for that. And Bill Harris and John Regan also told me, hey, this step up there's really no training for it. You just have to learn how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. The stress level doesn't go down when you're city manager. You just learn how to handle it better. Mm-hmm. And, there's over 400 employees, a fire department, a police department, a utilities company, and everything else that happens in the community, and everyone kind of looks at you.
Yeah, and that was one of my biggest shocks is I felt the weight of the employees, like someone was going through something, and when you're the boss, you really feel that. Like even if it's something that, they're going to get through, or, somebody, you have 400 employees, there's somebody who's sick, there's somebody who's having family trauma, or they, and I felt that weight. And that was a burden that I didn't feel as assistant manager, mm-hmm. but I really felt as a manager. And I don't think until you're sitting where you're sitting, you really get to feel that. But the city's in great shape. You guys financially have done a really good job with it. And financially, there's some things going on like with the parking structure and some of this stuff that's happening. What's some of the going into 26? We're still at the beginning of it. What's some of the things that you are keeping your eye on with a cautious eye as city manager?
Number one is property tax reform that's being proposed by the state. Mm-hmm. And there are bills that have gotten through the House, and the governor has made it very clear that he wants something on the ballot this year that institutes more robust property tax reform, which would be savings from people's property taxes. Mm-hmm. And depending on how that is done at the state level, that will impact our revenues. And they've also, we understand, made it clear that we can't reduce our expenditures for public safety, would be the fire department and police department. And we have some enterprise funds that pay for themselves. The marina, for example, and the utilities department pay for themselves, the parking garage. So when you take out the police and fire department and all those enterprise funds, what's left over would have to bear the brunt of a reduction in revenues. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're looking at right now, how we're going to handle that.
How you're going to make up that gap. Yeah. And I look at this and because I've kept an eye on it also with the tax reform that they're talking about. It's mostly focused on primary homes. In St. Augustine and the city of St. Augustine, or at least around in my neighborhood, there's a lot of secondary, a lot of Airbnbs and those things. Those won't be affected by that, correctly? Am I correct in making that statement?
That's what we believe. Now, of course, nothing's gotten through the legislature yet, but that is the direction the state's headed in, is that it would be like a super homestead exemption and maybe a total elimination of property taxes when you reach a certain age. If you're age 65 and you've been in the house for 10 years, for example, you don't have to pay property taxes. But you're right. We do have over 1,000 vacation rentals in the city now. Those wouldn't be affected, and commercial properties,
and that
not be affected.
The company I work with, we're probably the largest commercial contributor of sales tax. We don't want that going up either.
Well, that's the trick, is not raising the millage rate and making the commercial properties pay the difference.
And keeping that balance. And when you started and when I first got here, it seemed like we were really out of balance with how many churches and schools and things that were off the county or off the tax rolls. Off the tax rolls. It seems like commercials kind of filled in a little bit over those 30 years as a planner. Is that helping the city stay healthy? And how, I don't want to get into too much details about the CRA and how that helps the city, but is that trend true that the commercial has in the last 20 years benefited the city filling in? Because people are upset that there's so many hotels going up, but there's less hotels rooms now than there was in 1890. and people don't understand that that's a real statement.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, obviously the commercial tax base is very, very important to us. We saw a big jump in our ad valorem when the vacation rentals became a trend. So all of those houses that had been homesteaded rolled off the homestead exemption when they became vacation rentals. They
jumped up to where they were supposed to be.
And then their assessed value jumped up. So we saw a big jump in ad valorem because of that. The other side of the coin is that we saw a reduction in the quality of life in some of those neighborhoods also because of the vacation rentals.
And I'm surrounded by vacation rentals. I mean, like, I'm literally surrounded, like all four sides.
Yeah, me too.
Is vacation rentals. Yeah, you live downtown too, or in the city also. But I'm completely surrounded by it, and I never had an issue with it. I don't know if we're just fortunate of the people and the quality people that are across, that are in each direction. But for the most part, I haven't had a problem with it. And when I did have Airbnbs, I always had quality people that were staying in the Airbnbs. So when I hear those complaints, I'm kind of like, I never personally got to experience that.
Well, we did, interestingly enough, the vacation rentals, they really operate on their the feedback they get from their guests.
Mm-hmm.
So they are managed much more closely and maintained. The properties are maintained much better than a long-term rental typically would be.
Yeah, and that's the way it is in my neighborhood too. I mean, even the one long-term rental that is close to us is, needs to be bulldozed.
Yeah.
No, needs to be bulldozed. Help is beyond help. But the other ones are really kept up, and the quality of people are really nice. But we have a lot of stuff I want to get to. One of the items that the CRAs that are set up in the city, that kind of helps hold money within that within that group. Can you give us a Reader's Digest version of why CRAs are needed, and how they help the city perform the way you do?
Sure. So first, the CRA is a geographic area. We draw a circle around a neighborhood that needs help. And statutorily, by state statute, if they qualify in terms of blight, and there's different categories of blight, then we can create a instrument in which the increased assessment of property taxes goes into a trust fund, so to speak, to combat that blight. And a plan is generated, and then the CRA pays for road improvements. In the Lincolnville, it pays for institutional rehab, so we're fixing up and maintaining churches that are unable to maintain themselves, and we're combating that blight. And it's once that blight is erased, then the CRA is dissolved. So it's not meant to be a long-term taxing authority, so to speak. It's meant to be specific and address very specific things.
Yeah. And I love the fact that when we do that, it kind of holds the money, because St. Johns County is out of the 67 counties, I think they're one of 7 or 8 that give more to the state than they get back.
Yeah.
And St. Augustine's obviously falls in that category, because you guys fall under the same taxes as St. Johns County. So I like the CRAs and the way they're structured, and they've been successful in West Augustine, like you said, in Lincolnville, the historic area, Bolano.
Yeah.
We've had very good success with those, and I like the way those are structured. But I got to get to the big question. You guys just came off of Night of Lights. Night of Lights has been just a huge story the last 2 months since there was it started the first week in November. Night of Lights, from your side, and then I'll give you my side from the hotel side of where we're at. From your side, how did you feel this season's Night of Lights went?
Great. This year's Nights of Light season was phenomenal. It was so much better than last year. The major problem we were trying to address was traffic congestion, and we did that. Now, there were still times during the very peak times during the season when traffic congestion was heavy. I mean, I'll be honest with you, but it kept moving. And last year, what we saw was a dead stop. And so we kept things moving. We expanded the shuttle service that we had tremendously. We added a shuttle service on the island, which was very successful. So we moved people around more effectively. That's what the goal was. The secondary goal was to make people safer. So we encapsulated the downtown area with barriers for the pedestrians so they didn't intermingle with traffic, and that they were safe from anyone who would want to drive a vehicle, for example, like what happened last year in New Orleans on Bourbon Street. We protected them from that potential with Meridian barricades, and it made for a safer event and more enjoyable.
All right, and I'm gonna give you my resident side, and then I'm gonna give you my business side.
All right, give it to me.
Okay, and you guys are doing your end of the year review like February 9th at the city meeting. From my resident side, when I first saw the barricades go up on 9th, and now we live off of Lemon Street, so I come off US 1 on Lemon Street, and I saw that barricade, and I was like, oh man, why are they doing this? and the first weekend I got it. And it was whoever came up with that plan, it helped our neighborhood tremendously. So applaud that portion of it. There were some little tweaks that we had to make because I have a restaurant that was affected by that. That we kind of had to tweak it and say, okay.
We did have to make some adjustments.
Yeah, and when I called Ruben, and it was fixed like literally within the hours. So thank you for that portion of it. So I love that portion of it. The big question was the weeks that was involved. From my business side, we did very well. I like it starting the week earlier. On the back end, we would like one more week to get us, not so much for the business, but for the visitor experience for Martin Luther King, because we have visitors that have been coming for almost decades for the Martin Luther King celebration, and their families come and they see the lights, and they didn't get to see that this year. That was my only negative. So I'm giving you guys a solid B+.
Okay, good.
From my side, because I want to leave a little bit of room for improvement. So I'm giving you a solid B+, and I think I have a perspective from business and a resident that you hear people talking from one side or the other, but I have both, so I can see the pains that the residents are seeing, and I can see the improvements that you guys did this year. And if hopefully people understand that next year is going to be even more challenging because the King Street Bridge is going to be closed. So some of this, some of the strategies that worked this year, we're going to have to adjust on the fly next year because of the road patterns and the patterns that are going on.
Yeah, we're going to have the Bayfront under construction with a new seawall. DOT is planning on removing the King Street Bridge, and we'll get more of an update shortly on that. But you're right, there could be further detours next year, but we've learned a lot of lessons. We're going to potentially expand our neighborhood parking program into Davis Shores next year and into Lincolnville. And so we did learn a lot of lessons, and so we'll hope to improve that B+ to an A next year.
Well, and I hope so too, because I can tell you, we really enjoyed the changes, and I think I can tell you when I talked to Dave Chatterton, with the trolleys, he said their longest time last year was like an hour and 40 minutes, for their tours. The longest they had this year was, I think he said 54 minutes.
That's an improvement.
That's an incredible improvement. Yeah. And it's, when everything flows properly, I think it's a 35-minute tour.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty impressive from one year to the next.
Yeah.
So, I think those are some things, and we're going to pay some bills, and then we're going to come back to you. Okay. All right. Blake.
Yes.
Are you prepared for the Gas Buddy gas report?
Yes. All right, Gas Buddy gas report. Let us know in the comments where you're seeing the best prices for gas across St. Augustine and St. Johns County. But for right now, we got Sunoco at 21.99. North Ponce is at $2.63. Shell at 216 Ponce de Leon is $2.79. Owens at 78 South Ponce is $2.80. The Mobile and Circle K is at $2.81. The gate on Mizell Road is $2.83. The gate on US 1 North is $2.89. Circle K on 207 is $2.89. The Circle K on US 1 is $2.89. A1A discount beverage Sunoco is $2.89. And the Shell at 146 King is $2.92. That Gas Buddy gas report is brought to you by Crystal Sale Bail Bonds. Trouble with the law, call the name St. Augustine has trusted for years. Crystal Sale Bail Bonds available 24/7. Their experienced and compassionate team works fast to get you or your loved one out of jail and back home. From paperwork to release, they make the process simple, discreet, and trust-free. No judgment, just help when you need it the most. When the time matters, remember the name and the number. Crystal Sale Bail Bonds at 904-822-BAIL. That's 904-822-2245.
All right. I have the live music today, brought to us by visitstaugustine.com. We have Jim Lamb at Milltop at noon, Joshua Tennessee Worthy at Milltop at 12:30. The Beach Boys concert. I guess there's two concerts tonight.
Yep.
First concert at Ponte Vedra Concert Hall at 5. Kevin Edwards at Hurricane Grill and Wings at 5. Micah Gilliam at Prohibition Kitchen at 6. Bob Patterson, the legend, at O.C. White's at 6:30. Stu Weaver at Harry's at 6:30. Joe Downing at Salt Life at 6 o'clock. And the Beach Boys' second concert at Ponte Vedra Concert Halls at 8:30. You think Uncle Jesse's there?
Maybe.
Okay, I think he's probably with them. All right, and that is brought to us by Fidus Roofing. When it comes to protecting your home, trust Fidus Roofing and Construction. Voted Best of St. Augustine every year since 2012. As a GAF Master Elite contractor, Fidus installs GAF lifetime roofing systems and expert metal roofs built to withstand Florida's toughest weather, from emergency repairs to full replacements, plus pavers and gutters. Fidus delivers quality, durability, and energy savings with every job. For Fidus Roofing, give them a call, 904-355-ROOF. That's 904-355-7663, Fidus Roofing, where trust is built from the top down. All right, we don't do trends today, but I got to tell you about the good Troy out there at St. Augustine Handy House. Need a custom prefab portable building that is built to last? Come to St. Augustine Handy House, proudly owned by Troy Usina Enterprises, serving St. Augustine since 1988. With over 70 structures in stock, from sheds, barns, to carports and offices, you'll find the perfect fit for your needs. Every building includes free delivery, leveling, and anchoring, plus easy financing options. Visit them on State Road 16, open Monday through Saturday, or call 904-823-9092. St. Augustine Handy House, where quality meets convenience and community matters. All right, we're back to our interview. David Birchmin, city manager. Now, you've had some big decisions in the 3 years where you've been city manager. The Night of the Lights thing brought a lot of press, but you recently had to hire a police chief, and that process is always a little challenging. And unlike our sheriff who's elected at the city of St. Augustine, the police chief falls under the city manager. How is that process for you? And because some city managers never have to do it because the chief stays there and manages through the entire. How is that process through you and your team, and how is the transition going?
Well, the process went great because we had such good leadership in the department. So we had 7 officers that applied for the position. We went through rounds of interviews. We got it down to 4. It was a tough decision. I can tell you that all 7 of them could have been a good police chief. Mm-hmm. John Marston was selected, and he's great.
Mm-hmm. No, I've known him for years. Wonderful guy. I didn't expect a sergeant to be where he's at, but his personality fits.
It does. And he's got a lot of energy. He's got a lot of new ideas. He's got the respect of everyone in the department and in the community. Not that everyone else doesn't in the department, but he shined in his second interview, and so far I think he's very, very well received in the community, and he's doing a great job. And you're right, most city managers don't have to make that decision. It was just fortunate that I had to make a decision, and it was such an easy decision to make.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was almost like you said, you had so many quality people.
Yeah.
That was almost like you couldn't miss the word problem. Like you could have justified any of the, I don't know who the 7 were, but any of the top 4 fairly easily from one way or another with having that, when you have a quality field like that.
It did. It came down to Mike Castaigne and John Marston. It was a tough decision.
Gotcha. The other things, the tough decisions that you've had to make, which ones really, there's always, I know which ones really stood out to me. and it was usually letting an employee go that I struggle with, even when they totally deserved it. It was always a struggle, like I'm changing this person's life,
Yeah.
even though they're the ones that created it. That was always really hard for me as a boss. What's one of the ones that really you've struggled with in the 3 years decisions? Because there's a lot of emotions to the decisions that you make. So
Some of the bigger decisions I've had to make are developing our homeless drop-in center. That was a big decision that diverted a lot of resources. Just recently, we finalized the lease agreement, and tonight, in fact, we're going to finalize the amended development agreement for the Browdy parking garage. That's a big infrastructure project for a city our size. So it's a big commitment, and that's stressful.
Yeah.
We also purchased the Blue Waters jewelry site on Anastasia Boulevard for a new fire station. That was a big commitment on our end. So making those big decisions, big real estate decisions, is stressful, but it's for the best interest of the community in the long term. You just have to do it.
Yeah. And I saw in the comments that the city's going to have some project stress over the next couple of years. I'm of the opinion that you pull the Band-Aid off and just like knock them out. So I think if we're doing the seawall 1 year and the bridge another year, and you don't have a decision over that, both of those are FDOT. I think it would prolong the pain. I'd rather go ahead and get through the chaos.
I agree.
And I think that timeline, once that clears up, what's the projected timeline if everything goes well with the Browdy's property? What's the projected timeline on that? Because I feel that is a very big component to helping the city be more productive.
Yep.
But I haven't seen a timeline. I thought it would already have started by now as a citizen. And I'm just wondering, do we have, as you get closer to these, you can kind of get closer to that?
Well, it has started in terms of the plans have been submitted. The design has been approved by our corridor review committee. They want to break ground this summer. So they're saying September 1st or earlier is when they want to break ground. And it's a 2-year construction project. So they want to be completed by September 1st, 2028.
Okay. So that'll be going same time as, same time as the bridge.
Correct. That's
and same time as the seawall. And that actually plays into pulling that Band-Aid off so that they'll both be prepared at the same time. Because we have that as another one of our overflow parkings.
Yep.
For night
400 spaces right there.
And that's going to be lost.
Yep. For 2 years. It will. Okay. We're looking for places to stage that parking lot and transit lot in the interim while the garage is under construction. We're still looking for places for that.
Gotcha. What is, in your opinion, with the city, the health of the city? The parking garage has had to have a great season for what happened during Nights of Lights. And I was corrected. It's Nights of Lights. I've been saying Night of Lights. See, that's when my fundraiser is. Nights of Lights. What that revenue, you said it's an enterprise fund, but you guys county has a little bit more restrictions on enterprise funds helping the general fund. But you guys have some freedom to move that within the city. How helpful is that parking garage to the health of the city?
It's very helpful. So that parking garage produces revenues that not only cover the note on the garage and the sinking fund for maintenance of the garage, it also pays for the maintenance of the VIC, the Visitors Information Center. It also pays for mobility, our mobility plan itself. Those are the employees that are doing all the shuttling and parking and all that. It pays for our archaeology program for the employees that work in historic preservation for the city. And it's going to pay for the Browdy garage if we need that additional revenue to cover a shortfall initially with the Browdy garage. So when you open up a new parking garage, it's not self-sustainable for the first couple years. That's what we saw with the downtown garage. Mm-hmm. So the revenues from the downtown garage will backstop that and cover that couple years where it's not totally self-sustainable. It's part of our mobility program. It's part of our overall mobility plan to link those two garages together financially like that. And you'll see that tonight with the resolution the city commission's going to pass that formalizes where those revenues go.
Because I mean, and I'm going to show my age here. When all that plan came to be, and that parking garage got moved around the city quite a bit. When it was placed in that location, the city and the county have had communication problems, but it was really a problem during the mid-90s. My office was downtown, and I had one day to move out, and I had to move to Treaty Park. Because I don't know if you remember that there used to be two ball fields down there where Francis Field is now. Yeah. My office sat between those two ball fields, which was on city property, but the county was using it as Parks and Rec office. So I was a little miffed. I was like, they'll never fill that parking garage. And whoops. There's things that you don't see, until you really look further out. And that was young Troy. Older Troy kind of has a little broader view of things. But with this parking garage, you guys will lease it, but you get to keep that revenue, and you're paying portion of that debt. Is there a projected revenue where this will possibly help with some of the tax reform?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'll be honest with you. We just have to see what the tax reform, how it shakes out at the state level. Mm-hmm. We're confident that we can weather the storm no matter what happens at the state level with tax reform. It'll just be a matter of adjusting our personnel and our programs. That's the hard part is, how do we find ways to save money if we get less revenues without having to raise millage rate on everybody else, which is, we don't want to do that.
No, that's never. No one's ever happy about that. Blake, do we have any questions for our city manager here in the comments that I missed?
Yes, we do have a bunch of questions. Let me try to pull up the document real quick to have all the questions saved on here for you. All right, so we do have a question from Bobby here. He's asking, is the $100 fine still in effect for non-residents parking in town that were in like residential parking spots?
Yes, there is a $100 fine for illegal parking. So that would be, whether it's a resident or not, someone parking in front of a fire hydrant or a yellow curb,
in front of a
driveway. That doesn't, that $100 fine doesn't apply to if your meter runs out. If you're paying in a parking lot and your meter expires, I think that's a $35 ticket, not a $100 ticket. So the $100 is just if you're parking illegally. That's all.
Okay. All right. We have another question about the search for a police chief. You mentioned that it was an internal search. Was there a reason why there wasn't an outside search as well? And as an internal search, like usually the best practice for the city of St. Augustine?
Yes, an internal search is always the best practice for whatever organization you work for. Succession planning is part of building a healthy organization. And we do that very well. And our charter also requires us to look internally for the police chief before we go outside. We had plans to look outside for the police chief if we didn't find a suitable candidate, but we had plenty to choose from.
All right, and then last question here. I'll talk about the Bradley's parking garage. Does carrying any of the Bradley's debt affect the city of St. Augustine's bond rating?
No, it should not. That's a good question. We are using non-ad valorem revenues to pay for the parking garage. And it's a good question because the bond agencies, they're all a little different, and we are confident that it will not impact our ratings. We have excellent ratings, and I don't know how else to answer that question, but should not.
Is this would this qualify as what would be called a participation bond? So where the once it's built, it's the payback portion of it, because
well, it'll be identified in our our comprehensive annual financial report as more like a footnote, because we're not using tax revenues to pay down the note on the garage.
Pay the debt.
Right. It will become self-sustaining, hopefully very soon, where the revenues from the garage itself pay down the note.
Yep.
And taxpayers won't be paying for any of it.
All right. Blake, how do you want to check the comments? And thank you, David. Stick around for us just a little bit more, but you have survived the morning show. Blake, how do you want to check those comments for the rest of us out there?
All right, thank you, David, as well for your answers. On this moist Monday, I'll monitor the multitude of meaningful comments made by the minions of the Nile Forest.
Okay, was that a Bobby one or was that one yours?
That was a Bobby one.
All right. It sounded like one of yours, Bobby. I don't know where you were going with that.
Put the blame on him.
All right. And while you're checking those comments, I got to tell you about the great people at B&S Signs. Want your business to get noticed and stay that way? Turn to B&S Signs, proudly family owned and serving St. Augustine for over 50 years. From bold vinyl lettering to towering pylon signs, they specialize in high quality custom signage built to last. Their expert team handles everything. Everything: design, installation, crane services, reports, and maintenance with fast, responsive services that keeps your sign looking sharp. Make a lasting impression with B&S Signs. Visit bnssigns.com, because when it comes to signs, they do it all. They were our business of the year in 2025, and they are wonderful people. All right, Blake, what do you got in the comments, buddy?
All right, for question of the day today, what's the best sporting event you attended? Rebecca says, in general, a Rangers game. Yeah, very, 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 very cool to attend Madison Square Garden. Barbie Jean says a Vikings game. Bobby says the race that he won at Putnam County Speedway is his favorite. Joyce says the 2005 High School National Championship where the Yellow Jackets won. Scott says a minor league home run derby where actually current Major League star Eloy Jimenez actually hit one outfield lights during the derby.
Oh, natural.
From Joy, today is National Bubble Wrap Day, Green Juice Day, Peanut Brittle Day. Also, happy birthday to Jory's mom.
All right, there you go. Happy birthday, Mom. All right, now it's time for the Stodem Stat. Today is I couldn't split the baby on this one because there were two countries that are very significant on this day, January 26th. The first one is Australia. In 1788, this is the day 11 ships were sent to Australia filled with convicts. It was going to be a penal colony and filled with convicts. And now there's a lot of controversy saying this is a day of celebration for Australia, but the indigenous people didn't feel that way. So Australia, somewhat happy birthday for that one. But the big one is India gained its independence on this day in 1950. During World War II, the British promised that they would give independence. You know, Mahatma Gandhi was going through and doing this, but unfortunately he never got to see this. He was assassinated before India became its own country. And the big battle of what took it so long between World War II and 1950 is how they split up Pakistan and India. That was all considered one at one point, and they split it between religious lines. But right now, India is still, it became that day and still is today, the largest democracy we have in the entire world. So happy birthday to those two countries. And that Stodem Stat is brought to us by Sonny's Barbecue. Hungry for real Southern barbecue? Head over to Sonny's Barbecue, located at 2720 State Road 16 in St. Augustine. Start off right with the crowd favorites like barbecue, pork egg rolls, smoked wings, or those crispy corn nuggets. Then dig into the mouth-watering St. Louis ribs and try one of the Pitmaster's picks with all the classic sides, including famous garlic bread. And don't forget to wash it down with their signature sweet tea. Sonny's, local Pickmasters since 1968. All right. Any plugs we have to do? And a reminder, we didn't talk about it. Starting, I think, at midnight tonight, Bridge Alliance is going to be closed for 2 days.
Bridge Lions will be closed just at night to move the lions.
Just at night. They're just
at night.
Okay.
That's good.
I'm glad you cleared that up because I thought it was closed.
No, just at night, just to move Firm and Faithful off the bridge for the seawall replacement project.
I kind of like the way they just put them in cages.
Yeah, we got to box them up and make sure they're okay.
And I saw little LaRue, which I think you worked with. You had your house raised after Matthew. We didn't even get to talk about that, and I've used them several times. So remember that tonight, next couple nights, the Bridge Alliance will be closed. Blake, you got any plugs out there?
Real quick, there actually is a plug that you wanted me to remind you about, the cold shelter.
Oh, yes. The weather's going to get really cold the next couple of days. For our unhoused homeless population, we do have the Methodist Church, the Pumpkin Church, is going to be opening up their doors for those cold nights. And we appreciate them doing that. So if you see someone who's out there, you want to help them out, please guide them to the Methodist Church so we don't have our residents suffering through the night. All right, Blake, what else you got? Thank you for that reminder.
Hey, you're welcome. So if you like to help support the 904 Now, or by sponsoring one of our fantastic shows, or you want to bring your podcast to our studio, you can always contact me at blake904now@gmail.com.
Who do we have on Bollocks tonight?
We also have Daryl Pera of Free Kill Law, Free Kill Now LLC.
All right. So we have a beautiful Bollocks show tonight. It's going to be an emotional one. I just want to let you guys know. Beautiful Bollocks tonight. So if you guys can tune in at 5 o'clock. David, anything else that we left off, sir?
No.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
This is the part where we wave and say goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.